Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of Lent in the Holy Land. Local Christians are preparing to live this season intensely.
The celebration of the World Day of the Sick took place on the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes on February 11th. In Jerusalem, a hospital represents a tangible expression of the Church's mission toward the sick.
Brother Francesco Paton is the first Custos of the Holy Land to visit Brazil. It has been a long journey in a short period of time. However, both communities unquestionably showed their guests affection and hospitality.
Over 70 members of the Episcopal Committee for Consecrated Life in the Holy Land gathered in Abu Ghosh with Monsignor Pizzaballa to discuss about their assignments and about the significance of the Holy City.
On February 10, the Church celebrated the feast of Saint Maron. For the occasion, Monsignor Musa al-Hajj, leader of the Maronite Church, presided over a Mass in Jerusalem.
An organ recital, a visit to the monastery, the sale of books, and samples of delicious food. These are some of the activities that took place during the open house of the Church of the Dormition of Mary for the pilgrims and inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre at dawn, pilgrims from different countries participated with the Franciscans in the Ash Wednesday Mass. As proposed by the liturgy, it is necessary to convert and believe in the Gospel. And conversion, as Brother Orlando Cabrera explained, requires not only apparent gestures, but a definite transformation.
Este Papa nos está orientando precisamente hacia una vivencia.
Pope Francis is directing the real experience of our faith, which must not be apparent. We must find meaning in all of this, otherwise we could end up trapped in the routine, in an apparent conversion, not noticing any changes. Our experience in this place that witnessed the culmination of Jesus' life and where Jesus fulfilled the testimony that he had come to give us is a privilege.
Culminado su carrera o ha terminado el testimonio que ha venido a darnos, es un privilegio.
Right in the vicinity of the place where Jesus was buried and resurrected, the faithful received the imposition of the ashes and recalled the fact that we are dust and we will return to dust. Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of the Lenten season.
Dal mercoledì delle ceneri fino al giovedì santo, in un certo qual modo.
The period from Ash Wednesday to Holy Thursday in a certain way is a time in which we will go through conversion. There is a second, almost parallel Lent, which begins on the first Sunday of Lent and ends on Holy Saturday. This second Lent is the preparation to receive baptism by those who want to become Christians, or in any case, to renew our baptismal promises.
O ricevere il battesimo per chi non è cristiano o per rinnovare le nostre promesse battesimali.
3 kilometers from the old city of Jerusalem at Bethphage, a place that marks Jesus' meeting with Mary and Martha before the resurrection of Lazarus and Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. Even those who had the privilege of being born in the land of Jesus get ready to live this event. During this season, the Franciscan friars visit more than 1,400 families. They say that during this Lenten season, fasting will not be the only sacrifice they are planning to make.
Actually, I think most of the people, they think about the feast, it's about, the food and how and what kind of food actually we have to eat or what kind of food we don't actually have to eat. But I think it's about what comes out of us, not what comes inside us. And this is what Jesus have told us in the Bible.
We should not worry about what goes into our stomach, but how we should talk and act towards our brothers. This is the true fast. I usually smoke, but during Lent I stop smoking. There are sacrifices we offer and we make to share in the suffering of Jesus. We live in the Holy Land, and therefore we should follow in Jesus' footsteps.
The woman religious approaches a patient's bed, bringing this person a word of encouragement and consolation, an encounter that goes beyond the different beliefs and places of origin, because the first priority is the person who needs attention and care. This hospital in Jerusalem, run by the Sisters of St. Joseph of the Apparition, is one of the examples of the Church's maternal vocation towards the needy and the sick.
I thank God for everything. We must be patient because God has created cures for all diseases. This is a great hospital that offers great care to its patients. I underwent surgery, now I feel good and I feel calm and cheerful. In illness we must have faith, because faith, it is the only thing we have.
In addition to the medical service, the hospital, inaugurated in 1956, offers treatments that are made possible by the help of the patient's relatives who live in the Palestinian regions, due to the issue of the authorization needed to accompany the sick in Jerusalem. This can be done thanks to the merciful teamwork of the women religious and of the doctors. They are close to the sick, they listen to their needs and concerns, and they bring them hope. We try to take good care of our patients, and we offer them what they need. We laugh with them, we ask them how they are doing, and this encourages them. It is important that they feel we care, besides receiving our word of comfort. In Jerusalem, in the Basilica of Gethsemane, next to the Garden of Olives, the Apostolic Administrator of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, His Excellency Monsignor Pierbattista Pizzaballa, presided over the Mass for the World Day of the Sick and blessed the sick, a special celebration in the place that, according to some research, houses the olive trees planted there about 800 years ago that derive from a single tree whose seed in turn would come from an olive tree revered at the time as a witness to the anguish of Christ at Gethsemane. In his letter for the Day of the Sick of 2018, Pope Francis highlighted the millennial mission of the Church in caring for the sick, especially in countries where public structures are lacking. Even in the Holy Land, the Church demonstrates wide-ranging care for the sick, for the elderly, and for the poorest, a duty that, in some way, extends to all Christians.
È ancora importante oggi che la Chiesa si faccia.
At this moment in time, the Church should become a sacrament of comfort and consolation, bringing the oil of our solidarity and mercy to all the sick and to those who suffer in every way possible.
Tutti i malati e sofferenti in tutte le forme possibili.
Brother Francisco Baton is the first Custos of the Holy Land to visit Brazil. He completed this long-distance journey in only 5 days. He visited Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Belo Horizonte, Cachoeira Paulista, Aparecida, Anápolis, Brasilia, and Recife. Today, Brazil has a population of over 200 million, of which 123 million are believers, who make Brazil the largest Catholic country in the world.
È stata un'esperienza molto positiva perché è stata.
This was a very positive experience because we could meet with the local church. I had the opportunity to meet several bishops in Rio de Janeiro and later in Brasilia. We also met the commissioners, that is, the friars who work for the Holy Land.
I frati che lavorano per la Terra Santa, cioè i commissari.
The meeting agenda was intense. From the airport, the Custos went to the first conference scheduled for the 27th National Council of Brazilian Bishops, organized by the Archdiocese of Rio de Janeiro. 8 Centuries of Presence for Peace was the central theme of the conference, which was attended by Monsignor Arani Tempesta, Cardinal of Rio de Janeiro, as well as by 70 bishops from different regions. From Rio de Janeiro, the Custos went to Belo Horizonte, where he attended the inauguration of the Commissariat office with a large presence of the collaborators of the Holy Land. The presence of the collaborators was also significant in Sao Paulo during the meeting with the Commissioner of Porto Alegre. The visit ended with a Mass celebrated in the Cathedral do Sé. The activities of the custody has increased thanks to the help of the commissioners. In Brazil, due to its large territorial extension, there are 6 commissariats, organized in regions.
È stato importante.
It was important to see the places where they are offering this service. Furthermore, this also helps us to realize the difficulties they may encounter due to the great distances in this country.
Veramente grandi.
The Custos of the Holy Land also visited the Canção Nova community, a partner in the communication projects of the custody. He also visited the National Shrine of Aparecida.
Ho visitato Aparecida in Brasile, poi Luján in Argentina.
I visited Aparecida no Brazil and then Luján in Argentina. It is great to see how these Madonnas appeared to the poor. Aparecida was found by these fishermen, and this event gave rise to that devotion.
trovata da questi pescatori e da lì poi è nata tutta questa devozione.
In Brasilia, Father Patone was welcomed by the president of the National Council of Brazilian Bishops, Cardinal Sergio de Rocha, accompanied by the Secretary General of the conference, Monsignor Leonardo Steiner. On this journey, Brother Patone was accompanied by Brother Bruno Variano, rector of the Basilica of the Annunciation, and Brother Marcello Ciccinelli, coordinator of the commissioners. The group was also welcomed by the Apostolic Nuncio of Brazil, Monsignor Giovanni Daniello. This is very important from many points of view. Brazil is the largest nation with the largest number of Catholics. There is an extremely important and significant church presence. Since last year, we have seen the number of pilgrims from Brazil tripling. In 2016, it was about 9,000. In 2017, over 30,000 pilgrims from Brazil visited the Holy Land.
Sono stati più di 30.000.
From Brasilia, the Custos continued his journey and traveled to Anápolis for the inauguration of the new Brazilian Commissariat, after which he embarked on a new journey to meet the commissioners of Recife and Belém. From there, the Custos moved to Buenos Aires for the canonical visit. It has been a long journey in a short period of time, however. Both communities unquestionably showed their guests affection and hospitality. And there was also time for a selfie with the youth of the Cathedral of Sé in Sao Paulo.
Stare con la gente è sempre bello.
Sharing with people is always great and is part of our vocation. Why are we here? What does Jerusalem mean to us? Many were the questions discussed on Saturday, February 10th during one of the meetings held by the Episcopal Committee for Consecrated Life in the Holy Land, held in Abu Ghosh.
Les religieux qui se retrouvent aujourd'hui, nous sommes près de 70, viennent de Galilée.
The religious who meet here today, we are about 70, come from Galilee, from Bethlehem, and from Jerusalem. They represent the 30 male congregations which, at the invitation of the Latin Patriarchate, began to meet in the mid-19th century, and to this day continue to do so.
Que simplement les franciscains et les carmes. Depuis le milieu du XIXe siècle, différentes congrégations sont venues et continuent de venir.
Presently, Jerusalem is able to welcome about 600 religious, not counting the female component, due to the overwhelming majority of foreigners. A precious presence which implies, however, great responsibility. Monsignor Pier Battista Pizzaballa, who led the meeting, pointed out.
La Chiesa Cattolica di Terra Santa.
The Catholic Church of the Holy Land is very rich in its diversity of languages, services, charisms, etc., but is at risk of becoming a fragmentation where everyone lives for themselves in many separate islands or small ghettos, where they do wonderful things but within their own context, without a great communication with one another. The challenge of the Church in Jerusalem is to find unity. Its challenge is to find unity again.
La sfida che ha la Chiesa di Gerusalemme è proprio quella di trovare questa unità, ritrovarsi nell'unità.
And yet we must serve the city instead of using it. We must integrate ourselves into society to foster an education that promotes forgiveness, peace, and love. In a city context in which Christians, now less than 8,000, risk losing their ties with Jerusalem.
Et je suis très heureux de participer.
I am very happy to participate in this meeting with our bishop, who told us some very interesting things about the role of the consecrated life in the Holy Land, and who explained to us why the role of the Church in Jerusalem, which at the same time is the mother church of all the churches and of the local church, is absolutely important.
Et églises locales.
It is a day of celebration for the Maronite community. Monsignor Musa El Haig celebrated a Mass in the Holy City. Among the authorities present, the nuncio in Israel and Cyprus and the apostolic delegate for Jerusalem and Palestine, Monsignor Leopoldo Girelli, the vicar for Jerusalem and Palestine, Monsignor Jacinto Bulos Marcuzzo, and the French consul in Jerusalem, Pierre Cochard. In his homily, the Archbishop recalled several events in the life of the father of the Maronite Church. He lived in the 4th century and died in 410, in the 5th century. This saint, as Saint Anthony did before him, chose the desert journey to meet the Lord. He met the Lord in the mountains of Syria, in Apamea, near Aleppo. He lived incessantly praying to the Lord for divisions among Christians to be overcome.
Perché c'erano divisioni tra I cristiani, purtroppo.
Other religious began to follow Maron's way of living. A new community constantly grew to give rise to the Maronite Church, which has always been in communion with Rome. The Maronite family presently has more than 3 million faithful around the world. I celebrate this anniversary because I was given the name Maron on my baptism day. Every year we come here to St. Maron Church to celebrate his festival. 2 years ago, our patriarch, Bashara al-Rai, came from Lebanon to celebrate this anniversary with us. Every year around this time, we celebrate the feast of St. Maron. For us, St. Maron, patron saint of the Maronite Church, is a symbol. Although St. Maron lived a long time ago, his memory is alive and his example can still be followed today.
Ha seguito il Signore.
He followed the Lord like the mustard seed. He died to give life to others. This is why we remember this great saint today. We want to be inspired by his spirit. We want to be able to follow his example. That is, to love ourselves, to love others, and above all, to love the Lord.
Amare noi stessi, amare gli altri e soprattutto amare il Signore.
Amen. Amen.
This is a landscape that through the eyes enters deeply into the soul of the spectator. By contemplating the city of Jerusalem, we remember and thus make eternal Jesus' words, as well as the places that Jesus, the disciples, and the Virgin Mary visited. This was one of the objectives of the open house in the Abbey of the Dormition of Mary, an entire day dedicated to the visit to the monastery and the terrace, to the sale of second-hand books, to an organ recital, and to a delicious barbecue prepared by the monks themselves.
It's the meaning of to be a monk in Jerusalem, to be a Christian here. And we say, so welcome. If you're interested in how we live, where we eat, where we pray, where we meet to each other, if you want to visit our roof, to enjoy the view.
This is the 5th edition of the event that traditionally takes place on the Saturday before Ash Wednesday, following the carnival festivities in Germany. The idea found confirmation and momentum when, on the occasion of his visit to the Holy Land in 2014, Pope Francis urged Christians to open the doors of their homes and hospitals. German Benedictine monks who arrived at the beginning of the 20th century live in the basilica, built on Mount Sion. However, due to the conflict, they settled here only after the Second World War. For those visiting the city, the open house is an opportunity to learn more about the Abbey, which is a locality suitable for ecumenical and interreligious activities, which are also aimed at German-speaking Catholics living in Jerusalem.
The monastery itself is very important for the study of theology or ancient history in Germany, especially because students can come here and experience not only the Holy Land but also monastic life and see that it's something of ongoing actuality, something that's important for us in the present time. And they get to learn about the Benedictine liturgy, they get to learn about the rhythm of monastic life.
Praising God is the main task of a Benedictine community. Here, this is encouraged by the presence of organs in the church choir and by the talent of organists of the same monastery, as well as organists who get invited from time to time, like Angela Metzger, German musician, who came specifically for this open house. In addition to mosaics, paintings, and images, music invites everyone to a prayer.